Good morning, good afternoon. What I'm going to walk you through today is not a single deck about cloud theory. It is a practitioner grade consulting accelerator that we have built significantly for UAE and GCC client. One that has already been used to secure a 12 million AAD cloud transformation program. The Cloud Consulting Master Accelerator CCMA is an 18 module end to end toolkit that takes a cloud engagement from zero to a board level final report with built in UAE compliance mapping, AED based financial model, and formula driven scoring that removes subjectively from the assessment process. Let me show how it does and why it changes how cloud consulting gets done in the region. Some of the key points: UAE GCC specifically, not a generic global tool. Version 2 not the 2026 edition, current, maintained and evolving. 18 modules working together as one system, not 18 separate spreadsheet, designed for the consultant, CIOs, cloud architect, and FinOps leader. Now, every cloud consultant in this region knows this problem. You walk into an engagement with a collection of disconnected tools, a readiness spreadsheet there, a migration tracker there, a TCO model that doesn't speak to the business cases. You spend the first 2 weeks just assembling the framework instead of delivering the insights. And the output, a Word document that took 3 days to write, filled with the scores that a client with challenge the moment they walk out of the workshop. So the UAE market has an additional layer of complexity. PDPL, NESA, CBUA, DHA, compliance requirement that global tools simply don't address. And when you present a cloud business case in the US dollar to UAE CFO, you are already lost the room. So these are not hypothetical problems. There are the reason cloud engagement in this region consistently take longer, cost more, and delivers less than what they should. So CCMA was built to solve all six of these problems simultaneously. Some of the key points: regulatory gaps, PDPL, NESA are liability issues and not just inconvenience. AD demonstrated financials are non-negotiable for UAE board approval. The inconsistent scoring erodes client confidence. CCMA removes subjectively. Solution: so CCMA is not a template. It's an integrated consulting system, 18 modules that works together as a single intelligent workbook. Here is what that means in practice. You select the client industry, say BFSI, and one selection automatically adjusts the risk weights across the readiness assignment. The TCO model, the risk register, and the final report. You don't touch those weight manually. The tool does it. When you finish the assessment, the final report assembles itself. Scores, financials, risk roadmap, priorities, pulled automatically from every upstream modules. What used to take 3 days of copy pasting takes 30 minutes of review. And it does all this in AD, mapped to UAE law with GCC benchmark that your client CFO will immediately recognize as a credible. The 60-70% reduction in preparation time is not a marketing claim. It comes from removing the manual scaffolding that currently consume the majority of a consultant time in the first 2 weeks of an engagement. Some of the key points: cross sheet intelligence is the core differentiator. One input changes everything. Auto generated final report is a time and quantify multiplier. The AD financial plus UA compliance equal to immediate board level credibility. So the key capabilities. Let me walk you through the CCMA actual what actually it does across the 8 core capabilities. Industry and domain weighting. This is the intelligence layer. If your client is a bank, CCMA automatically applies BFSI risk weights 4.x to every scoring formula. If the engagement focuses on the security and compliance, the domain weight 5.5x, shift the entire scoring emphasis accordingly. The GCC benchmark library means you never got into a client meeting with the generic global data. You have UAE specific cloud adoption rate, ROI benchmark, and the compliance requirement that are immediately credible to regional CIOs. The ADTCO model, that is the capability that wins boardroom approval. 5 years financials in the UAE dirham with ROI payback periods and the net saving. The CFOs in the UAE expect AD, CCMA delivers it. The 6R modernization engine scores every applicable application and automatically recommends the optimum cloud strategy based on consultant preference, but on weighted business value, technical depth, and the cloud readiness scores. The Gen I readiness and the SRE maturity are forward-looking capabilities that exceeds CCMA's value well beyond migration planning. They position your practice for the next generation of cloud engagement. Some of the key points: Rocket intelligence means capabilities compound, they don't operate in isolation. Gen AI SRE models make CCMA relevant for 2025 and beyond, not just migration era engagement. Now, the end to end workflow, the CCMA follows five distinct phases: configure, access, analyze, plan, and report, each supported by the dedicated modules that builds on the output of the previous phases. Phase 1, configure. You start with the home sheet, client name, industry, region, domain. These four fields activate the entire cross-sheet intelligence layer. Every downstream module immediately knows it works with a retail client in the UAE, for example. Phase 2, access. This is where the engagement and evidence base is built. Cloud readiness, application inventory, security and compliance, Gen I readiness, ops and SRE, five models running in parallel, all feeding score output into the phase 3. What is the phase 3 analysis? The business case quantify the financial opportunity, the 6R categories, every application. FinOps finds immediate saving. The risk register maps the threat. Phase 4, plan. Migration waves are sequenced. The platform scorecard identify the optimum provider. The landing zone checklist ensure a secure foundation. The roadmap prioritize initiative. Phase 4 is the report. The final report assembles itself from every upstream module. The engagement leads review and approval. The report goes into the client. This is a complete repeatable methodology, not a collection of tools. Every engagement that uses CCMA follows the same rigorous process, which means every client receives the same quality of output. So the key points: sequence phasing ensures nothing is missed. Cross-phase data flows eliminates the rework and inconsistencies. UAE GCC compliance advantage. So this is the slide that separates CCMA from every cloud, the global cloud consulting toolkit. The PDPL, the UAE personal data law protection, comes into force in 2022. Now every cloud engagement involves UAE resident data now requires demonstrable compliance. Data localization decision, a data production officer, breach notification within 72 hours. CCMA maps this requirement into the security model and flags them into the platform selection scorecard. NISA, the UAE Cybersecurity Council publishes the information assurance standard that applies to every government entity and critical infrastructure operator in the UAE. CCMA maps NISA control at the individual control level. For the BFSI client, CBUA requirement are non-negotiable. Cloud risk assessment, mandatory localization of core banking data, and specific notification obligation for material outsourcing. These are embedded in the BFSI engagement profile. For the healthcare clients in Dubai, DHA health data law governs electronic health records and patient data. CCMA applies this as an overlay. And ISO 27001, 2022, all 93 Annex A controls are mapped. For the client who needs certification, CCMA gives you a gap assessment baseline on day one. No other cloud consulting toolkit for this reason does this. So when you walk into a CISO briefing with CCMA, you have credibility before you have said a word. Some of the key points: compliance is not an optional in UAE, it's a legal requirement. CCMA compliance mapping saves the security team weeks of manual framework mapping. The platform selection specifically scores DCC data residency, Azure UAE North, AWS ME UAE, Oracle UAE. Now, some of the business case and the TCO. So this is the slide that gives the program fund date. The business case model takes the client actual IT spend, server hardware, licensing, co-locations, staff DR, and build a like-for-like comparison against the evident cloud cost demonstrated in the UAE dirham. So in this real-world example, let's take from Al Noor Retail Holding. This is just a dummy data. The on-premise annual cost was a 2.43 million. The cloud modeling produced a 1.55 million. An annual saving of 883K over 3 years. The net saving after migration investment is 82.65 million with a ROI of 240% and an 11-month payback. So this number went to the board. The program was approved within 3 weeks. The CCMA TCA model covers 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years horizons because UAE procurement cycle typically evaluates over 3 years. The model applies reserves in instant discount rates, the right sizing adjustment, and the managed service premium factor automatically. For the FinOps, the practitioner in the audience, the model integrate with the FinOps model to be factor in immediate optimization saving. Before migration even begins, in the unknown case, we identified AD 127K per month in the idle resources based on day one of the FinOps review. When you represent this to CFO, you are not presenting a slide, you're presenting a financial instrument. So the A denomination is non-negotiable for UAE broad presentation. The 3 years TCA is the preferred matrix for UAE procurement. Include a migration cost as an online investment to show accurate payback. The FinOps integration catches the pre-migration saving that certain the business case further. So these are all. I mean, I would say this is the actual data. This is just to showcase how you can showcase one you have implemented and use this particular tool, right? So don't go by this that this is the actual data. These are some dummy data. This is just for the presentation purpose. Now let's talk about the modernization, migration, and platform application. The CCMA three interconnected playing modules, the six are modernization, migration, wave planning, and platform selection form the operational core of the engagement. The 6R engine doesn't just apply labels, it scores every application on business value, technical depth, and the cloud readiness. So then use a decision algorithm to auto recommend the optimal strategy. An application with high business value and high technical depth, like a legacy PO system, gets a refactor recommendation. So a low value duplicate system gets retired. So this recommendation are defensible, evidence based, and repeatable. So the migration wave sequencing picks up where 6R leaves off. So wave one quick wins is one to four build confidence and demonstrate early ROI. Wave two handles core system. Wave three tackles the most complex refactoring work. So application with high dependency counts are deliberately kept out of the wave one. Dependency failure are the primary cause of the migration rollback. So the platform selection scorecard is a multi-criteria weighted evaluation of AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, Alibaba Cloud, significantly scored for GCC deployment. The GCC region availability carries a 25% weight because data sovereignty is non-negotiable for the UAE client. In this case, Alnor example which was taken, Azure UAE not scored 4.55 out of 5 given by the NASA certification, Express Route sovereignty and Azure OpenAI ability in the UAE region. For the BFSI client, we recommend increasing the security and the compliance weight to 30% and the GCC region to 30%. The scorecard weights are fully adjustable. Some of the key points: 6R is formula driven, removes consultant bias from application strategy. Platform scorecard makes vendor selection defensive, not preference based. Wave sequencing protects programs' credibility through early wins. Now, the roadmap and the final report. So, the roadmap module takes every score, every risk, every assessment output, and automatically calculates a priority score for each transformation initiative using a weighted formula. Score above 4 foundation phase, 3.0 to 3.9 wave 1, and so on. So, in the Ulnar engagement, which let me again say it, this is just a dummy just for the presentation purpose. 22 transformation initiative were auto prioritized across 4 phases. The roadmap was reviewed with the client in a single 2-hour session, not built over 2 days. The foundation phase always anchors on the security and the compliance. The UA client in regulated industry will not approve a migration program without a compliant landing zone. So this is built into the scoring logic. For executive presentation, we recommend using 3 horizon levels instead of wave number. So quick win 0 to 90 days, core transformation 3 to 12 months, and innovation and optimization 12 plus months. So this resonate immediately with boards and then the final report. So this is the moment when CCMA values compound. Every section, the scorecard and the TCO, the application portfolio, the risk summary, the platform recommendation, the roadmap is auto-assembled from the live model data. The only manual selection is the executive recommendation authored by the engagement lead. So what typically takes 3 to 4 days of report writing takes under an hour of a review. The report is then exported directly into the PDF for the client delivery. In the case of the Annur case, the final report went to the board. So the program was approved 3 weeks later, and the result CCMA delivers. Some of the key points: auto assembly eliminates the copy paste error, everything flows from the live data. Priority score formula is transparent, clients can audit and validate it. Executive recommendation is the consultant's value add, it cannot and should not be automated. Now, why CCMA? So, CCMA was built because the UAE and the GCC cloud consulting market delivers a tool that understands its regulatory environment, its financial requirement, and its business culture. For consultant, it cuts your assessment preparation time from 60 to 70%, replaces the subjective scoring with weighted evidence-based framework, and generates client-ready deliverables automatically. Every engagement is faster, more consistent, and more defensible. For the CIO and CTOs, it gives you the AD-based financial models, the UE compliance coverage, and a validated platform scorecard that you can take directly to your board and CFO. No translation needed. For cloud architect and FinOps team, it gives you a 6R engine that removes the bias from application strategy, a GenAI readiness module for 2025 error engagement and FinOps saving identification that starts on day one. So the outcome is not accidental. It's what a rigorous UAE specific consulting framework delivers. The CCMA is available now. One toolkit ready to deploy on your next engagement. Download it in the below link. So where you can download is go to the URL etsy.com shop digital by Sachin. A live demo or walkthrough for the interested party. Reinforce this is not a template, it is a complete practitioner grade consulting system. Thank you.